Hey friends, welcome to the Veterinary Life Coach Podcast. Today on the podcast, I have my friend Karlene Belyea again, and she's been on the podcast a few times with me before, and she is an amazing positive force. She is the Vice President of Wellness at Mission Veterinary Partners. Mission Veterinary Partners, sorry. I'm tongue-tied today for some reason. And so I'm really happy to have her here today. And we are going to talk about some really fun things. Aren't we, Karlene?
We are, for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm so happy. It's been too long since you've been on the podcast.
Hey, happy to be here.
So happy to have you. So we're going to talk about ripple effect, how to have a positive ripple effect.
We are, because as we all know so well at this point, after going through 2 years of a pandemic, everyone has struggled and a lot of negative emotions have come up. And one of the ways that we can impact that negativity at work is to try to do our best to have a positive ripple effect in our practices. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Let's do it. Tell me, what is a ripple effect? Let's start there.
You know, if you look it up online, they say a spreading, pervasive, and usually unintentional effect or influence. And of course, when I think of a ripple effect, I think of like throwing a stone in the water and you watch the ripples kind of come out and the ripples are larger. And so I encourage people to think about what kind of a ripple effect they want to create at work, because it's very easy to create something positive or negative. And now more than ever, we really need to create a positive ripple effect.
So kind of like when I walk into my practice in the morning, if I'm in a great mood and I show up really happy and excited about the day, then my team's going to be more excited. But if I'm cranky and like I had a cold last week, so I'm kind of still stuffy, if I'm kind of down and not feeling my best and I'm not very chatty, that all of a sudden the practice, kind of the feeling is going to go more negative. Yeah. Is that what we're talking about?
And part of that is emotional contagion too, where we catch the emotions of those that are around us. You know, you might have a mean client come in and they're yelling, and then next thing you know, you're angry and everybody else is a little bit angry too. Sometimes they call it skunking instead of emotional contagion, which I think is actually a better word for it. But we want to, you know, when we create that ripple effect, we're not only impacting just the immediate people around us, but if I say something positive and start creating a positive ripple effect at work, the people that I'm talking to that I'm making feel good also say things to other people that makes them feel good. And so it really ripples out well beyond just that initial interaction.
Yeah, I love that. I love that visual.
Yeah.
Because it just, it feels good.
It does feel good. It does feel good.
And
there's so many people out there that are so good at it. You know, you think about people like Betty White or Maya Angelou or Keanu Reeves or Ellen DeGeneres, you know, and you, Julie Cappel, you always create a positive ripple effect.
My team might beg to differ. I'm sure I have days where I'm not a very positive rippler.
Well, I don't know. Everything I've ever seen, and I've known you a long time, it's been really positive.
Well, I would say the same about you. So I guess we're the best people to teach this, right?
Yeah. So I was reading a study that I found fascinating. And this particular study said that throughout our lifetime, we actually touch 80,000 people over our whole life, which I found astounding and hard to believe. But when you think about, like I was saying with the ripple effect, you know, if I'm affecting 5 people in a room and then they are talking to others and affecting them, and then those people are talking to others, you can see how over a lifetime you could touch 80,000 lives. And so I think we tend to underestimate, you know, our own actions and our words, and we think they don't matter that much, because we really have a choice when we take action or in what we say. And so if you think about how do you want to affect 80,000 lives, it kind of hits home, doesn't it?
Right. And and I might argue, if that's a normal person, veterinarians, we see clients constantly all day long, and then they have families. And so it might even be higher for some of us that work in like service industries.
I think you're right. Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, so we really just want to be intentional when we create a ripple effect, because our actions are going to affect others, and our attitude is really important. important. So we need to think about too, like if we're super busy at work, and somebody comes up to us and asks us a question, how are we going to respond? Are we going to act all exasperated that they bothered us in the middle of a big something that we were doing? Or are we going to kindly say, hey, if this is not urgent, I'm going to get back with you as soon as I'm finished? Or might we just drop what we're doing and help them, for a people pleaser?
Yeah.
All of those things create one or another ripple effect. And so you impact that individual that's coming up to you whenever they ask something, pretty much. Do you find that at work too?
Yeah, I would, because I'm high D and high I have a tendency to kind of do that. When I get under stress, I get really short.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be intimidating to people because then I'm kind of bossy and
Yeah.
a little bit like less chatty, a little bit. I don't feel like I'm ever mean, but it could come across as that, right? If I'm really stressed. And so I like to encourage people when I'm talking about this subject with my coaching clients is to say, you can be short and to the point and protect yourself, but also be kind. So if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, instead of just saying, I can't deal with that right now, or can you come back to me later, which is perfectly fine. But also if you're feeling very overwhelmed and stressed, let the people know how you're feeling. Because if I say to my team, you know what, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now, and then say, could you, write me a note so I don't forget, or could you come back in 5 minutes, or could you give me a second to, think, or just whatever it is, but let them know where my feelings are so they understand where that's coming from, because there are times when you're not going to show up as your best self, and then your ripple's going to be negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you know that, and you know that about yourself, and I know my stress goes right to direct. So if I can feel that stress feeling and go, okay, I know I'm going to create a negative ripple unless I let people know what's up. And then I can share like, okay, guys, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. Can you give me a second? Let me kind of get my head on straight, and then I'll be kinder or whatever.
That's
That's what I thought when you said that.
That makes such a difference, because nobody's perfect and we're all going to have those moments, and just acknowledging them and showing a little bit of vulnerability, people are going to cut you slack right away. They've been there.
Yeah.
So I think that makes all kinds of sense.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to communicate that,
Yeah.
when you're trying to create a positive ripple. If you're not feeling so positive, that will help.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. And if you're not used to really thinking about ripple effect, and especially trying to create a positive one, you can really start with making just some small changes. Little things like smiling at a cashier, or being sure to look people in the eye and saying hello, and calling people by name that you don't know. The brain loves to hear your own name. And so like if I'm in a store or a restaurant or whatever, I always comment to the wait staff, and use their name and say something kind. It makes them feel better. And some of their clients and their customers are not very kind. So we want to make up that difference. Holding the door for someone or complimenting a stranger. I'm sure most of you do that all the time. It's so easy to give compliments when people bring their pets in, because you can always compliment their pet and they love that. Just really, you can put positive things out at work. Posting positive affirmations kind of helps people get a little bit more into that positive ripple effect. Doing little random acts of kindness, anything like that is going to put that positivity into the practice. And even just acknowledging people and thanking them. The biggest reason people leave jobs is because they don't feel valued. And so you can really create that positive ripple effect by helping your team feel valued and expressing genuine thanks specifically. Because those specific thank yous linger longer than a, hey, thanks for coming to work today, right?
Right. Yeah. I think if you're the type of person that comes naturally to, you're really lucky. But if you're not, you have to make a job of it. So you might have to remind yourself, I'm going to affirm one person today, or two people today, or I'm going to write a note today, or just a way to help you remember that that's important in your practice.
I agree. I did a presentation on gratitude and kindness fairly recently, and I have 9 kind phrases that I encourage people to use. And so I'm just going to share these.
Share those. Yeah.
So number 1.
I'm going to write them all down.
So number 1 is, I value you. Now, we don't hear that very often.
If someone said that to me, I'd be blown away.
I know. I'd be like, oh, my heart, this is beautiful.
Right.
I admire you. I mean, we don't hear that very often either. And that's very important. You can do it. You know, encouraging people is so key, and we want to encourage our team members. I believe in you is another one. Now, sometimes we don't believe in ourselves. So to say, I believe in you to someone really makes them feel like you have their back. Another one is, you are kind, you're sweet, you are so nice. People like to hear that. It sounds corny, but it really means something. You are smart is another one. You are brilliant, you're amazing. Another one, you can count on me. That feels good, because, you know, as we're flailing around in life, to know that you have someone you can count on makes a big difference. So just some phrases that I think help me as I talk to people. And so you can use those and also engage in kind of friendly conversation at work. You know, greeting everybody in the morning creates that positive ripple effect. Noticing when someone's having a bad day and trying to help them out, just paying attention. And even, you know, when you get those positive clients or positive comments from clients, just a lot of people put them up on boards and things, and that makes you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives as well. And so just a few little ideas, small ways you can start to
share them with the team, because sometimes they'll say things, nice things to the doctor that they won't say to the rest of the team. I've had clients say that, oh, your receptionist Jojo is so nice, or oh, we love Adrian, or whatever, but they don't say it to them. Like, why do you think that is? Why are we afraid to compliment each other? Like, we'll say it behind their back. Like, I've said to a million people, I love Karlene Belyea, she's amazing. But I don't often, when you come on the podcast with me, say that to your face. Like, why is that?
That's a really good point.
I just thought of it. I was just like, we should do that more. Does it feel weird? I think sometimes when I introduce these positive things to my team over the years, like I've done this for years, they think it's a little weird, like kind of like woo woo or airy fairy or whatever you want to call it. And is that why we don't? Like, I'm wondering, are we embarrassed or what?
I think it depends partially on behavioral styles, like you mentioned earlier. I think it also depends on where we fall on like the warmth versus competence scale.
Yes.
Which I won't get into a whole lot of that, but some people are just extremely high on the warmth scale, and they may also be very competent, but they don't necessarily show that. And so I happen to be a person that I'm high on that warm scale, that sometimes people don't think I'm as competent because of that, because I always say things like this, and people who aren't comfortable with that, they feel awkward. And so I think, you know, they're not going to say things like that because it just isn't in their nature.
Right.
Even though they might think things or say them behind the person's back. It's just, they feel like, oh, it's just a little too snuggly. I don't know. I can't think of the right word.
I don't know. I can't think of the right word either, but it's almost like we're embarrassed to compliment each other.
And show that much emotion.
Yeah, but I would argue that if you can take one of these sentences and change it to fit your personality, because you wouldn't have to say, I believe in you or I admire you. You could just say, I love working with you, or I like working with you, or you're fun to work with. I mean, it doesn't have to be as like snuggly sounding, maybe.
Yes. Make it your own.
Comfortable for you. Yeah. And that way, if you can get used to saying it a little bit, then the next one's going to come easier. You know, I find the more that I try to embrace that part of me, the easier it gets.
I agree. Yes.
And if people think you're crazy, then let them think it.
It's okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I liked it. One of the things that one of our veterinarians where I work, when she talks about ripple effect, she talks about getting the whole team involved in creating this positive ripple effect, which just makes all kinds of sense. So she is a veterinarian that does Monday huddles in the morning, and they talk about, what each team member did over the weekend and, what was enjoyable, and they share and they bond over those things. And they even share, what they've been watching, on TV, because everybody during a pandemic kind of ran out of things to watch, and it gets to, they get to know each other better. They have a whiteboard where they put up inspirational notes and quotes, and they take turns. So it's not just like one person leading that charge to be positive at work or create that ripple effect. It's everybody, and they pick a different person every day to kind of add to that. They also will sometimes pick a person every Monday to pick a song that like lifts their spirits, and they'll play that at the huddle, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
They also, when they do team meetings and team events, they will rotate who's in charge of them. So they'll have like 2 team members plan each thing separately. So everybody gets a chance to really be involved and come up with different ideas, and that ripples farther then. So I kind of like the way our veterinarian does a lot of that. And I bet you have done a lot of that at your practice as well.
Yeah, I mean, I try every time we have a meeting to throw something in there positive. I talked to somebody on the podcast the other day, and the way he does his meetings is he makes everyone at the beginning of the meeting say something positive or something good that's happened in the business that week. Now, he's not a veterinarian, but just basically to set the tone for the meeting. So like the same thing with your huddle. Let's talk about what we did for the weekend, how we had fun or whatever. It's kind of that same idea. So just, getting a positive start will kind of help bring up the mood for that meeting. And then you can do the same thing at the end. Like I always do that at the end too, because I like it to feel good when we leave the meeting.
Yeah.
So I like the end, words of affirmation or whatever. But yeah, I do think that the more you can inject that into your practice and into your life, the more
Yes,
fun it'll be, right?
I agree. Yes. And it seems like so often in meetings, we focus on all of the things that aren't going well, as opposed to, what's going well that we need to do more of, and learning about each other too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we forget that piece. We think if it's going smoothly and no one's complaining that we just kind of like leave it there.
Yes.
But the real truth is if you can grab onto those good things and do more of them, it's going to get better, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Cool.
I have another veterinarian that when she talks about like creating a positive ripple effect, she talks about like, if you think about a calm lake, that's all well and good, and you get these nice little ripples. But she said that it's a lot harder to create that positive ripple effect when you're on a rushing river that's kind of out of control, right?
Right.
So she says the way you need to make it through turbulence is to communicate and stay accountable for your actions. And she says if you steer your boat down the right channels, others will follow. If you're having a bad day, you should tell your team, just like you had said, Julie.
I think that's important.
Yeah, and let them know that showing up and being a part of the team is important to you, even though you may not be your best self every single day. And she also says when her team members are having a bad day, she encourages them to reach out so that they can find ways to help, stay connected as a team so that no one, falls out of the boat, to use her analogy. And she says that when her team stays connected like this, no one falls out of the boat. And if every day is a bad day for someone, they also promote that this person gets coaching or outside help from a counselor.
I thought you were going to say they throw them out of the boat.
Oh. There are times when you get somebody in your boat and you're like, I think you need to be in a different boat, buddy. So, yeah.
That was the first thing that I thought when you said that. I'm like, oh, if they're negative, they go out of the boat. Okay, that's cool. I like that. That's a really easy way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's keeping everyone in the boat, keeping it afloat.
Yeah, I liked her analogy of a rushing river because, that's what it's like in vet practice sometimes. So you can't always have that little picture of the ripple just nicely going out from your rock.
Right.
So, I mean, I always encourage people to think about how they're going to show up every day. How can you make things brighter? And by that I don't mean, some people they're almost, they can be positive, but like toxic positive, they're ridiculous about it.
Like
And we
super
can't,
fake or something.
yeah, we can't be positive all the time or happy.
No, and we
So
shouldn't be, right? We don't want to be.
no, no,
There's
we have,
lots of sad things that happen at veterinary hospitals, and you don't want to be happy during those times.
no, you can't,
You
you
just want to be
can't.
solid and stable and be able to handle all the emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just showing that you care about others, connecting with them, spreading hope, encouraging people, trying to make a difference in lives, and remembering that everything we do or say matters so that we can really pay attention to creating that positive ripple effect. And, along those same lines, working to do some team building is also great too, and it creates a positive ripple effect.
Yeah.
So are there things like, Julie, that you've really found helpful with team building as you've had your career throughout a few decades? Or
Well, I mean, I could talk about this all day because that's one of my favorite things to do is try to get a team going in the right direction. But um, one of my favorite things is the personality profiling, and we've kind of
Mhm,
talked about that before, just to kind of learn about yourself and learn about your team.
mhm,
Because I think the more you understand the people that you work with, the easier it is to create that cohesive team, because everybody has different talents and some people are more positive than others and some people have different gifts. And if you learn about those gifts and you kind of try to pull everybody to their strengths, then that creates a more solid team. So I like that. Um, and there's a ton of things like I like stuff, games and things, but I think we're going to
mhm.
talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just transition into that. And
Yeah, yeah. I like, did we say enough about the ripple effect? I think the team building is kind of part of that, right?
it is
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
because some of our teams now, if you, as I mentioned earlier, going through a pandemic and going through a time when our clients weren't very nice, um, we need more than ever to really connect as a team and support each other. So yeah, team building is important. So
Kind of like
um,
building that chain to kind of keep everyone together so the clients can't break us apart or something like that
yeah,
visual of
I like
locking
that visual.
arms, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so I mean, overall, the goals of team building typically, we want to build closer, more trusting relationships. We want to increase our team spirit. We want to foster innovation and creativity and really enhance that communication and cooperation, kind of like you mentioned, learning disc together or behavioral differences, enabling better problem solving together, and just being supportive of one another and caring about one another. And so there's so many different ideas, that you can do in terms of building that don't involve things like trust falls and drum circles, right? We want to have
No,
things
which those can all be fun too.
they can. We just
Like
don't want
where
anyone
you
to get
walk
hurt.
across the tight ropes and stuff like that. That's fun.
I'm
But
not real
yeah,
coordinated.
there's
So
so many ideas. Like I challenged myself over the years to come up with all kinds of crazy ideas. So let's kind of talk about that. I think the key is understanding that if you understand your team, you will do a better job. But even if you don't, and you implement some of these team building ideas, you're going to have people that love them all. You're going to have people that love some of them. You're going to have some people that hate them that you're going to have to kind of win over. Because I've had that experience when I first started this years ago. My team was they had never been exposed to that idea that we could have fun at a meeting or do an exercise that was kind of a team building exercise. And some of them were very resistant. Like they just wouldn't want to sit in their chair and not say a word and not participate. So kind of be aware of that. If you have that kind of team, that it might take time and you just need to be patient because then they'll eventually come around.
That's an important point. And I
Somebody's
think that's why this friend of mine that I mentioned earlier, she will alternate who plans the team activity
That's a
or team
great
building.
idea.
Yeah, so that, everybody has a certain level of comfort with different things, like you said.
Sure. And that they won't be, oh no, here comes another crazy idea from Capel, oh, they'll all dread it. But if their friends are doing it, making up the game or whatever, they're going to be more likely to participate.
Yep, that's
They get
true.
some
That's
input.
true.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned like morning huddles at one point,
Yep.
doing a 5 or 10 minute check-in in the morning just to see where everybody's at mentally, and bring up any clients that might be a little bit of a challenge so that people can handle them better. Sometimes that can be, an easy way to build the team a little bit. Or I've talked to some of our practices that they'll do like a riddle of the day. They'll write a riddle up on the treatment board to just encourage fun. And you can Google animal riddles and, put something up like that. Having post-it notes that are a gratitude, having a board up, like a gratitude board where you put post-it notes up, things you're grateful for or people you're grateful for, thank you notes, sharing jokes, playing music. I mean, we have an app at work called LulaFit, and our practices will sometimes put up like a 5-minute dance fit kind of thing, and they put it up on the screen and everybody takes 5 minutes and they're learning a little 5-minute dance, and
I want to do that.
it's just kind of fun. And you can probably find them easy on YouTube or wherever you want to look.
Yeah.
Or doing a meditation together to calm down if it's been a rough day. Also, it helps with team building if you've had a hard day to do, an end of the day debriefing where you discuss the struggles, because it will strengthen team bonds. I'm sure, you've done that kind of thing at your practice too. And then other ideas that I'm aware of, switching up staff meetings a bit. And you mentioned switching up staff meetings and doing just some fun and informative activities. So there's one called Guess the Breed that I've heard of a practice doing. And it's basically who can match dog breeds with common genetic conditions. So it also is a learning opportunity for people. So that's one. You can also do something like a personality quiz where you have staff characterize their personality traits and work styles by dog breeds. So, maybe, I'm a poodle, or, maybe I'm a Chihuahua, like your Chihuahua brain. You talk about
My Chihuahua brain. Yeah.
are your CSRs golden retrievers? Are your Tex border collies? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you can even do like a little CE presentation that you discuss as a team afterwards. It might be, a topic they're passionate about, or it might be new research, or it might be wellness. Those kind of things are nice at staff meetings. And you probably have other examples. Do you want to share any of the things that
Oh
you've done?
boy. Well, right now at my hospital, we're doing an Easter egg hunt. And I started this years ago. I don't know, one day I thought that'd be fun if I hid eggs around the hospital with candy in them. And, and we call it Easter spring if people don't do Easter, but basically, it's kind of evolved. And I just, at my last staff meeting last month, I kind of did a brainstorming session with them. What do you guys like to do? What games have we done in the past that you like? Which don't you like? The Easter egg hunt, because we've done it so many years, has kind of morphed, because we've done it some years where it was a competition and it got really ugly. So then we realized that probably wasn't the best way to do it. This year, I've got a couple of new employees that have never done it before. So as soon as I hid all the eggs, they were like on a mission to find them all. And I was like, well, your guys are if you find them all, it's going to be over with in 2 days. And then, I can keep refilling them and rehiding them. But at some point, you got to just like kind of let it evolve and accidentally find them while you're working. But anyway, so we do that. I've done Lego building competitions where, I gave them all the same Legos in a baggie and I split them into teams. And then I've had them do anything from copying a build that I did. And then they have to kind of communicate it through stations and do like a communication game. Or sometimes it's who can make the highest construction with the Legos in their bag. So they have the same pieces, but they work in groups to try to do the competition. Oh gosh, we've done scavenger hunts. We did a road rally once, which was a all day thing, which was fun. But that was a lot of planning.
It is.
I like everything. I've done the minute to win it game. I've done Pictionary, Jeopardy, skits. We've done karaoke where you had to write a song about the hospital and then perform it with your team, which was really fun because some people are really intimidated to sing. And then other ones you'd be surprised. Like I had people get up there and just belt it out and perform and dance. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know she had it in her, So that's been fun. I think just anything you can think of that you think would be fun, because not everyone's going to think the way you do, but at least if you try it. And I think all of that makes stronger teams. And our puzzle, we keep a puzzle going all the time. And some people like it and some people don't. But if you can stop during lunch and throw a couple puzzle pieces into the puzzle, that's sometimes fun to do as a team. So yeah, what other ideas? I know you have a list. Did I steal them all?
No, those are great. There's an idea that you could try role-playing scenarios at meetings.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
really fun.
Let's say the first scenario is a client is upset after seeing her invoice and is taking her frustration out on the CSR. And then you have the CSR role played by a veterinarian and you have the client role played by a CSR. And
Brilliant.
it becomes funny. And here's another scenario. A vet has to have the healthy pet weight talk with a client who is overweight herself. So then you have the veterinarian role played by the tech, and then you have the client role played by the veterinarian. And so you go through that whole thing and figure out how to make that as sensitive and kind as possible. And here's another scenario. A tech is attempting to draw blood from a patient, and the vet steps in to show her how it's done.
Oh, I would never do that.
So then you have the
techs
tech
are
role.
so much better at drawing blood than I am most cases.
I know. So then you have the tech role played by the veterinarian and the veterinarian role played by the tech. And so that can be interesting as well.
Yeah, that could get a little ugly. We have to be careful. You would have to be careful if you're going to do that. You would have to make sure you have a referee that if they start to get ugly, that you can, change the focus. Because I think that would depend on your culture, your client culture, your
it really would.
culture.
For
Yeah,
sure.
you might want to save that one until you've got a really strong ripple going.
There you go. Good advice. Or I think you mentioned scavenger hunt. If you don't know how to do a scavenger hunt, you need to get at least 2 people on a team and identify 10 items to collect. It could be a picture of your sweetest patient or a funny joke or best suggestion for making a client's day, or a team member that puts others first or is always on time or always makes you smile. One thing could be the cleanest towel in the practice or a picture of the cleanest exam room. And then you basically have a very judging team. So you might have a veterinarian and a tech and a CSR and a kennel worker. You explain the rules, you distribute the list of items they're supposed to find, and you give the teams a set amount of time. Then you ring a bell whenever you want to start, and then ring it again when you end. Maybe it's 30 minutes. And then you can either have this team that selects the winner, or you can have everybody kind of talk about who they thought won. And then a debrief is important for that as well. Asking questions like, how did your group work together? Did you divide the list or work on all of them at once? Would you take the same approach next time? Why or why not? What items did you enjoy finding? That kind of thing. And it just kind of helps people get to know each other better and work together as a team.
Yeah. And I think when you're doing these exercises with your team, I would encourage you to you can do it one of 2 ways. Either try to split them up into different roles, so have one vet on a team with a tech, with a receptionist or a CSR and an animal assistant or kennel assistant or whatever, and have those teams so there's a variety of roles. because a lot of this stuff is meant to bond them. And a lot of times your doctors don't get to work too much with your receptionist, and your receptionist and your techs don't always get to work closely together and get to know each other. So I kind of like to do that. Or if you have a team meeting and you're going to play one of these games, just do like a count off, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all ones can go together and all twos, because you don't want them ganging up with their friends necessarily, you know, because then if you have a click problem in your hospital, you don't want to necessarily foster that with these games.
Exactly.
And so if you can kind of take your people that you really think need friends or need to be, you know, bonded with each other. I used to do it where I would see, well, like, this person's having a problem with this person, so I'm going to put them on the same team.
There you go.
Which is a little bit manipulative on my part, but a lot of times it works. Or someone that I don't necessarily get along with really well, or they're afraid of me because I'm the boss and they're a new employee, I'll put them on my team, because then if they have to work with me playing a game, it's going to be a lot less intimidating, and they're going to get to know my real personality, not my doctor, owner, boss personality. Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
I've always kind of tried to think that way when we're playing a game. And the other thing is, if you have a really competitive person in your office, which I have several, you kind of got to think that too, because some of these games will backfire on you.
Oh, that's a good
Because
point.
they'll like trip each other and push each other down. Like I've done like timed games where they had to run around the hospital like a scavenger hunt, and some of them get really like kind of cutthroat. So, which is fun for me. I think it's funny, but like, you don't want someone getting hurt, or, you know, someone getting offended because somebody was mean and pushed them away from a task or something.
Yeah.
But I like this. You can do a really simple scavenger hunt right in your hospital. You can have them take photos with their cell phone. You can have them pose. Like I've done that, you know, or you can make them figure out the riddle in order to get the clue, which takes a little bit of planning because you have to make up the riddles. But if they have to solve a riddle and then go get the clue or whatever as part of the scavenger hunt, that makes it more challenging because they have to kind of work together. And you can find all those online. You can find out how to do those. So yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that's great, Julie.
You have more?
I do. So
Okay,
there's one of our practices. I get a weekly practice tip from practice managers. So I have a lot of them. And this was one that I got
That's valuable.
recently. And I really liked this. So they take like popsicle sticks and they will write different scenarios. Some of them are client comments and some of them are situations that they've encountered. And like when they have a meeting, or sometimes first thing in the morning, they'll have somebody draw a popsicle stick and then they'll talk about it. So like the client comments, here's some examples that they will write on these popsicle sticks when they draw.
Or the tongue depressors, because we have
tongue
depressors.
I don't actually work in a practice, so I call them popsicle sticks.
But that's fine. It's the same concept.
Yeah, thank you very much. So here's random client comments, and then they'll talk through how to handle these together, and they'll laugh and they bond over that. So, you know, here's some of the comments. My puppy passed away from parvo. Should I be concerned about my other dogs? Or I would like to schedule an appointment. Of the 8 doctors you have, which one do you recommend? Or let's say the client says $72 to look at some poop. Why is it so expensive? And as the team talks about, you know, how to react to these, they bond.
That's an excellent idea. That would be a great way to start discussions and training.
Here's a couple more. Why do boy dogs have nipples? Can you describe how my dog will be cared for while boarding? I plan to buy the largest dose and split it between all my 6 Chihuahuas. Oh my, can I catch diabetes from my pet? Might do it. All kinds of them. There's all kinds of them. So lots of ideas. Or Mrs. Johnson asks you to remove this tick from Bo's stomach. It's a nipple. How do you talk about that with her, you know? So it's just a fun way to at least teach people how to react to certain client comments, and the whole team learns, and they do find humor in it a lot of times, and it's just a good team team building bonding kind of situation.
Well, and what a good way to easily start conversations, because some of the hardest things about staff meetings is nobody wants to talk, right?
Exactly.
So you could even have each team member choose one of the tongue depressors or popsicle sticks and read it, and then they could be the first one to suggest what they might say, or, and that would be a good way to get people that don't really like to public speak kind of involved, because, sometimes in a hospital, there are people that will never say anything because they're introverted or they're afraid to speak up, or they don't want people stepping on their ideas. So that's that's awesome.
That's a great point, because from the things I've read, most people are introverts in veterinary medicine, way more than extroverts. Or they might be
right? It's like, no wonder we're so stressed out.
I know.
Yeah.
Other little team building ideas, you could do like a paper tower competition, which is really easy. You break teams into 2 to 10 people. You give them each about 15 sheets of paper and nothing else, and they have to try to build the tallest tower they can. And it teaches them to work together as a team, and it's interesting because is there one high dominant kind of leading the whole team, or is everybody, kind of people pleasers and no one wants to take the lead? So it's interesting to watch the dynamic and then debrief afterwards, asking, did everyone agree on how it was supposed to be built? If not, how did you decide? What are good ways for people to make decisions together? Why is it important to be able to work with others to make group decisions? That kind of thing.
I love it. It's kind of like my Lego thing.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
can use anything. I saw one where you could use like gumdrops and toothpicks and have people build stuff out of that, any kind of thing that you can imagine that would be silly, like marshmallows. I've heard of that one. Marshmallows, and
fun.
I forget what else. But that anything that's just kind of different.
Yeah, that would be fun. Although people might eat them.
They probably will.
I would eat the marshmallows.
But if they only have a set amount, if you only hand out like 10 to each team, then they have to be creative. But be aware that you have to give them rules, because I've done things like that, and they'll start like going through the drawers and pulling things out and adding things. And you got to be very specific about exactly what the rules are, because then they accuse each other of cheating, and it can be controversial.
It can get ugly.
It can get ugly, but it's still fun usually.
Yeah. And just other ideas, doing 2 truths and a lie. That's an easy one, going around the table and then watching people's body language when they tell the lie, you can kind of catch it.
Hopefully you don't have any good liars.
I know, right? You mentioned Minute to Win It, and one of our teams was talking about doing that. And what they did for one of the activities is they put like an Oreo on their forehead and tilted their head back, and then they're trying to get it in their mouth first, which I had never seen that. They sent me a picture of that.
Yeah, if you Google search it, there is a website, because I did this a few years ago, that had all those games, and like one where it is you can put a Kleenex box on a belt, take out the, so the top, the round part, and they get ping pong balls and put them in there and make them strap it around their belt, and then try to get the ping pong balls out of the box. And like they each have to. So I did that. Like there's lots of like really silly games, but it's kind of fun.
I love it. That's so funny.
Yeah.
You can even do things like at a meeting, asking everyone to identify what superhero they'd be and why.
Ooh, I haven't done that. That one sounds good. I'm gonna write that down.
What superhero would you be?
Would I be?
Yeah.
Wow, that's hard. I guess I'd be Superman, because I've always thought it would be cool to fly. I think that's why I like birds, because when I was a kid, I wanted to fly, even though I'm afraid of heights. I'm definitely afraid of heights. But if I could fly and know that I wasn't going to crash, that'd be cool.
I like that idea. Yeah, I'd be Robin with you. No problem.
Okay, you could be the Robin to my Superman. I think you're in the wrong cartoon, but okay.
Batman. Sorry, they all run together.
I like Batman too, but Batman can't fly, so.
Good point. Good point.
What would you pick? What would you pick? since you
You
made me
know,
pick?
it might be nice to be big and small. Like you could be Ant-Man and you could get really small and get into
Oh,
small paces. Although
yeah. Didn't they do
the,
that in that one cartoon too? With the parents and the kids. Didn't they have
well,
somebody
they
that
did
shrank?
like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm
Is that
thinking of. I'm
no?
thinking of the people in the red suits, the parents and the kids.
Oh,
What was that?
The
The
Incredible.
Incredibles. Could they shrink or were they just stretchy? Somebody was stretchy. I can't remember.
Stretchy would be nice. I can never reach anything. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm going to switch. I don't want to be a bug. I've changed my mind.
Okay. Well,
All right. Moving right along.
yeah. We
You
don't have to.
mentioned starting meetings with a game, which a couple games that were mentioned to me was Would You Meme and Pun Intended as good ones.
I don't know.
I haven't played those, but I heard really good things about them. Um, and you've probably done things with your team outside, like an escape room or laser tag or, a game night, a ropes course. Axe throwing is really big, bowling. There's so many good things you can do, especially now that better weather's coming and, go horseback riding. The ideas are limitless. I know I have one team that they went and destroyed things, just to get frustration out.
Well, I've
It
heard of
was
that.
like
I'd love to do that.
one of these rooms and you get these big hammers and you're smashing old computers and things like that. You wear goggles so you're safe. And
That would be fun.
yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
just did, if you want to do something really simple, we just did a movie night and we just had food, like we got Qdoba or something. And we just all met at my house and everybody just came over and we had Mexican food and we watched a movie. Because
That
it was
sounds
simple and
great.
easy and it didn't cost much money,
Hmm.
it was cheap.
What
So,
movie?
oh, Best in Show.
Oh, nice. See, you
It's
could
like
please everybody with
it's a
that one.
dog movie. It wasn't my idea. It was someone else's idea, but it was funny. It was cute. I
I
hadn't seen
like
it in
it.
years, so it was kind of fun.
Oh, I like it.
It's ridiculous.
And if you want to work to and do things to continue to cultivate a great culture, featuring a team or an individual on a bulletin board or social media, organizing a group volunteer activity, which is always nice to do
Yes.
around the holidays.
Yes.
Promoting well-being with something like a steps challenge, letting people keep their device on them all day so that they can count their steps. And then, giving the top 3 people a prize or something, having healthy snacks available. Celebrating obscure holidays is fun. And if you Google that, there's just limitless ideas, and, we have May the 4th coming up, like May
Yeah.
the 4th be with you. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Celebrate that, have people dress up. You can organize fun work activities that coincide with things like the Super Bowl or the Olympics or the Oscars. And definitely, most of our practice will do like quarterly lunches to celebrate successes and birthdays and anniversaries and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those things, good things. So recognizing a job well done, rewarding group efforts, sharing the best thing that happened this day or this week, sharing hobbies, favorite books together, foods, recent vacations, so that the team gets to know each other better. And we have forms at work where it's called the My Favorite Things form. And everybody in the practice fills it out. And it might be, their favorite food, their favorite activity or sport or coffee or their favorite dessert. And so people fill this out and then it's put up and people go around and read each other's. And then they build bonds because they're like, ooh, that's my favorite movie too. Or things like that. And then if you want to reward them, oh, well, this is Sally's favorite dessert. So we're going to bring that in for her birthday or for her special occasion. And that works.
Excellent idea. That goes back to getting to know the people you work with.
Exactly.
So you know how they like to be treated.
Because we just want them to feel appreciated and that we care.
Right.
And so, yeah. Do you have other thoughts on that? Because I kind of went through a lot of
I have
things.
so many. I like when you said the charity thing.
Yes.
One time I took my team shopping a few years ago, and instead of them, well, they shopped for themselves. That was part of their reward. But part of it is I gave them money to pay it forward. So we were at a shopping mall, and they had to go and try to get rid of this money somehow, like by buying somebody Starbucks or by, buying a kid's toy. It was around Christmas time. So some of them went into a toy store, and when a kid was going to buy something, they would pay for it or whatever. So that was really, really fun. And that created a lot of goodwill, not only for the team, but also for the people that they encountered, because they told them what they were doing. They're like, we're on a work trip and we have to do this for our work. We're just trying to make people happy, and then they would take pictures with the person or whatever to kind of share. And then when we all got back together after the shopping trip, they all had to tell their stories, which was really fabulous. It was very, very fun. So you could do something like that on a smaller scale, do like a pay it forward with the other team members, maybe.
I love that.
Yeah, just anything that, I don't know. I love thinking of these things. And then if I think of an idea, then I got to figure out how to make it work. And it doesn't always work. Like if you start to do this, if you've never done it before and you're trying to do stuff with your team, don't have like really high hopes that everybody's going to love it or that it's going to go exactly the way you thought it was going to go. Like just recently, the Easter egg hunt, like in 2 days, like most of them were found, and I didn't think it was going to go that way. So now I have to punt and refill them, but just don't get discouraged by that. And don't have such high expectations that you think that everybody's going to think it's great, because you're probably going to have somebody that goes, oh, having an Easter egg hunt is so stupid at work, and you'll overhear that, and then you'll let it crush your spirit, right? But the real truth is most of the people are going to love it. And so if you have that one negative Nancy person, you can just let it flow off because everybody else is going to like it. And the reason I know is because I ask my team now, like, what do you guys like? What should we do again this year? What do you want to do for the next meeting? Sometimes they'll pick the games that we did 3 years ago. They'll be like, remember when we did karaoke? Do we still have the karaoke machine? Can we do that again? And then it's easy. Then I don't even have to think of an idea. So
that's perfect.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I love this. Oh, I'm so excited. So the reasons that we want to do this are right back at the ripple effect, right? We want to create a team. We want to be trusting each other. We want to be vulnerable with each other. Like, what other reasons do we want to do this? We kind of talked about it before, but
we want to enjoy work. I mean, we spend 80 to 90,000 hours of our lives working. And so, we want to enjoy each other and our time at work and know that we're making a difference in all of these animals and clients' lives every single day. I mean, veterinary people are the best. They just are.
And if your people aren't happy, then they're not going to be able to stay with you, number one, and then serve your clients and be happy with that. And when the stress comes on, if they know that it's temporary and then we're going to go back to having a good time or whatever, it's going to be more likely to not bleed over into, that negative work-life balance. They're going to want to come to work if something cool might happen.
Yeah.
Or they just know that their other team members have their back. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So important. So I just hope people start to think more about, okay, how do I want to show up at work today? What am I going to create today in terms of a ripple effect? Is it going to be positive or negative? Because
how do I need to work on myself to show up a little bit better? Yeah. That's something I ask myself every day. Can I show up a little bit better today than I showed up yesterday? And, I think I might be able to, because yesterday I was kind of crabby. Or whatever,
Exactly. Yep. It all ties together.
Right. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on? We did a really good job, I think. We got through a lot.
We did. I think we're good.
So if anybody has any of these ideas that we didn't talk about and you want to share, go ahead and share them with me at my email, jakapel@dvm@gmail.com, or leave a comment, below the podcast, or you can email Karlene. We'll share her email with you, or find us on Instagram or wherever we're at, because we can compile more ideas, right?
I have a lot more. I had just pulled up a document, but we don't have time to go through all of these. So,
no.
But it's there if people want more ideas.
Well, and I'm sure that if they email us and they ask us for an idea for their particular situation, that we can help them formulate it.
You bet.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Karlene. This has been so much fun. Do you want to tell them where they can find you?
You can email me at karlenebelyea@gmail.com, or I have a speaker website at karlenebelyea.com. I'm also on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel with a lot of different videos to help with communication, with leadership, with well-being, all sorts of different things. And the videos are anywhere from 7 to 60 minutes. So you can throw something up really quick on productive complaining or emotional contagion or whatever, if you find it useful at your practice.
Yay. I'm so happy. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening and have a beautiful week. Bye, Karlene.
Bye.